Yeah, okay. Hey, we live, baby.
There we go.
All right.
Damn.
Thank you for tuning in. This is the Dearly Beloved Podcast. I am your co-host, Raul. Today we have two special guests. We got Gio Villanova and Alejandro Guzman. Can you explain what you guys do? And
Yeah,
I'll give you the honors.
Thank you. I'm one of the loan officers over at One Nevada, and basically what I do, I work the numbers to get people pre-qualified to purchase their home.
Can you get a little closer to the mic, please?
Yeah, of course. I usually work the numbers and then pass it off to someone like Gio. So I'll let Gio kind of go into what he does.
And I do real estate. I'm a real estate agent, and I work out of Keller Williams Realty Southwest.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, gentlemen.
Having us.
Yeah, man. I mean, we all have free time, so I'd be a little upset if you guys kind of reschedule. So
No, I'm excited.
Yeah. So
I wasn't doing nothing else.
Awesome, man. Thank you guys so much for joining us once again. I do have a question for you guys. Like, are we from Vegas?
Yeah, I'm born and raised here. Grew up on the east side too. So
That's what's up.
I got to see the market, and that's kind of what got me into it. You know, kind of let people chase the American dream.
I feel you.
You know.
Yeah,
Right.
I grew up here, born and raised, all 23 years. I kind of grew up around I guess you would call it like Paradise area.
Okay.
Like, I kind of split time between that and then like the east side too, because I got two different sides of the family. So I got, the ones that live over on the east, and then kind of like around Paradise, like Eastern, Pecos, like that whole area.
Okay, yeah, that's where I'm from.
So I kind of split it a little bit.
Okay, that's what's up, man. One thing I want the viewers to know is like, since you do real estate and we do banking, today's topic is going to be about the steps that's going to take that people should know how to get a house and how to get pre-qualified and all that. So my first question for you, Gio, is why did you get into real estate? And then same question for you, like, why did you become a bank loaner?
Right. You know what? It's kind of crazy how I got into real estate, because I went to UNLV for like a semester, and I hated it, bro. Like, I fucking hated it. I dropped out after like the first semester. I probably didn't even finish the first semester, to keep it a buck. But dropped out. I wasn't a bad student.
It's not for you.
As corny as it sounds, it's just not for some people.
No, definitely.
So I sold used cars for like a year after that. And then my pops actually started dating somebody, and she did real estate. And from what I heard, she was like really successful at it. And she's like, "You ever thought about doing real estate?" And I was like, "No, not really." I mean, she's like, "Well, you should try it, get your license, and interview with our team." So I didn't really know much about it. That's kind of how I started, though. Like, she really put me on.
She kind of put you on, and then what is there like a kind of schooling you have to go through, or a certification?
The cool thing about it, not a lot of people know, is some people think you got to go to college for it. Some people think it's like a really long course. It's really not like that. I would say probably the class, like the soonest you could probably go through it, the schooling is like a month.
Okay.
But you can.
But is it difficult, or is it one of those like?
It's one of those things you really got to study.
Okay. Yeah, so you can't just go and like fucking free ball everything.
Nah, I tried that.
Okay, so it ain't CSM, man. It ain't CSM.
Trust me, I tried it, bro. I tried kind of just like seeing what the minimum I could do is, but you really do gotta like know your shit.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah, I gotta agree with that. Yeah. Like, you really I gotta agree with that, because it's easy to get like just wing it, but no, when you're working with people's lives and their investment, you gotta be top notch.
Pardon me, keep speaking. I'm checking if it's recording.
All right, and so I guess I'll take off from there.
We good, baby?
You good? No, I'll take over from there as well. Just same thing, man. I just kind of wanted to learn. Actually, I wanted to be an agent first, to be honest with you. But I had a great team over at where I'm at. They kind of taught me this and out. You should learn it, but I was lucky enough to where that team taught me. And my biggest thing was I wanted to know what goes into buying a house, so I can buy a house myself someday. So
yeah, and that's the first step, man. I want people to understand, because like some people don't get it, and we're getting to that age where we should like either invest in a property or buy one, or I know a couple friends that I have that are younger than me.
Yeah,
and they did better they used their money way better than I did. I know a guy named Carlos. He has 5 properties at the moment. He's 23.
Yeah.
So he has 5 properties. He's doing very well. So I just want people to know, at least inform them what needs to happen for them to get that first property, either to live in or use it as an investment. So
Right.
For what is the first step for buying a home? And
So I would say this is kind of where you want to pass it off. Is the very first step is a lot of people, the misconception is like, I get it all the time, like, but there's nothing wrong with it because people don't really know any better. The very first step, and what I get a lot is, hey, I want to buy a house. When can we go look at houses? Right. And it's kind of one of those things.
It's kind of like they want it overnight type thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, slow down. Like the very first step to home buying is you need to speak to a lender.
Okay.
Off top. Same thing like buying a car. You go to the dealership. What do they make you do? You gotta fill out all the paperwork. Paycheck stubs.
Yeah, exactly.
W-2s, like proof of income, things like that. So talk to a lender is the very first step. Find out what you can qualify for, just like buying a car.
Okay.
You don't just go and you're like, oh, I want that one. It's like, can you even afford it? You know what I mean?
Right. You got to kind of know what kind of things you could afford and all that. So like, what's the first step with getting a loan then?
Exactly. No, you want to make sure the numbers make sense first and foremost. A lot of people think just because they have 3% down to put on a house, boom. Like
okay, so I have I learned this over the weekend or last weekend. They actually told me that like what happens is that they take your annual income and they multiply it by 3, and that's what you could afford to buy. Is that correct?
There's several things that go into it, and it's not that simple. It's how much do you make a year versus how much is your like monthly overhead, really.
Okay.
It's called a debt to income ratio. And what you want to do is you want to be right at 45. Now that gives you enough room to afford the home and anything like that. But you definitely want to get pre-qualified first. Speak to a lender, let them know what your situation is, and be transparent.
Yeah, transparent too, because I've heard like if you're not transparent, obviously they're going to be trying to fuck
everything up.
Yeah,
like last second, if you're not like this, is the guy that you want to be the most honest with, bro. Like,
yeah, because they're going to only help you at the end of the day. So yeah, and thank you for answering the common misconceptions. But what is the common misconceptions or like the myths that go on with getting a loan, or the common issues that you always?
I think the biggest thing is fear. Most people think, oh damn, 30 years, like what am I gonna be able to do? When am I gonna be able to afford this? What happens if I lose my job? And there's ways to avoid that. Each lender has their own thing. But yeah, that's the first thing you want to do is get pre-approved, and then you do want to get an agent you trust as well. I always recommend to people, don't always just find the right house that looks beautiful. Like, no, find your home, especially people in our demographics.
It's just we got to be honest with ourselves and get something that we could afford, because
100%.
You want to. Well, the term is what, house broke, going house broke. Like you can't even afford to keep the house, so it's
exactly.
So that's one thing though I want to ask is
I
like,
would say
go ahead.
One of the most common misconceptions that I hear is how much do I need down?
Right.
A lot of people think, well, I don't have 20% down. I don't got 5% down. I don't got nothing like that, right? But that's probably, I would say, the biggest misconception is you really don't need that much money down. Like,
okay, yeah,
I would say minimum you would need like 3% of whatever the purchase price is. And then at that point, he can kind of take over and say, okay, well, there's these kind of down payment assistance programs.
That's what I was going to ask you. Like, what assistant programs do you recommend, or which ones are out there, or do you know any of them, and which ones are the most common ones, so we could just kind of like get them to know that these exist? Because I at one point when I was younger, I work in a union property, so they're like, oh, I got union help and stuff, and I don't know any of that because I didn't use that to buy my first house. So I kind of wish I did, but it's all good. But then there's like little things that you could get to get help, and it covers the down payment, the closing costs, because there's closing costs also.
A lot of people know. Yep.
Yeah, there's cost after the 3% down. I always tell people those down payment assistance program, it's more relative to your lifestyle. There's no program one that's better than the other.
It's just whatever works for you.
Whichever
is your
exactly.
Can you name how they work, or like what they do?
So the most common ones, and these aren't down payment assistance, they're the type of loans that you should know: conventional versus FHA.
Okay, so how do those work?
Both ways. Usually FHA is for people who have lower credit scores, or maybe have a little bit harder time getting into a home, and they just want to get into the home. 3% down. You pay what's called private mortgage insurance. It'll protect your loan. And then conventional, like you said, you want to go with the 20%. Most people won't have that. You can go down to 3%. And there's ways of,
Is there certain rules that you have to follow with both loans? Like you have to live in the house for one, or like can you just rent it out as a rental property?
that goes back
Have
to
you guys
being
any-
transparent with your loan officer. I mean, yeah, there's 100% different ways to do it, but be honest with what you're buying. If you're buying an investment property, you don't want that to cripple your dream home later down the line. You know what I
Okay.
mean? So, yeah, be transparent with your loan officer.
So that's the biggest advice you could give is just be transparent. That's like the biggest advice for first time home buyers. Just be completely transparent with your loan officer and be maybe patient.
Pick a good agent.
Yeah, and be patient.
The thing is, not just because they're your friend doesn't mean they're a good agent.
Right.
Off rip. Like if I got my homie Richie sitting here, one of my best friends in the world. If he told me I need to buy a house, but you know what, bro? Like I don't think I should use you for whatever reason. I respect it, 100%. Like,
Yeah, definitely.
But I know for one, like I'm a good agent. Like just being honest, like off rip, I know I am. But just like that's one thing I would say is just because they're your friend or family member, like it does not mean you got to use them. Pick a good agent and pick a loan officer that knows their shit.
Let's say somebody picks an agent. Why is it important to have one? Can you do it without it, or?
Here's the thing: you could. There's programs and there's companies that you can literally go through the buying process without an agent. 100%. I'm just gonna be transparent.
You can, and I don't recommend it.
I would not recommend it, and I'm not just saying that because I'm an agent myself, but you're literally just flying blind. Like you don't know if you're buying right. You don't know literally anything. You're just kind of doing whatever they tell you in a sense.
Okay.
So it's important to have somebody in your corner.
Sometimes you get finessed a little bit, right?
Yeah, and you wouldn't even know it. So it's
a whole
important.
lot of it, actually. Yeah.
It's important to have a good agent and a good lender because you don't know if you're getting finessed at the end of the day. Like I've seen it, and I wouldn't recommend it. But just like not to get too deep into it, I would, if you're watching this or whatever, hit up Raul, get our contact info.
Yeah, that's one thing I wanted to say. At the end of the video, we'll give your contact information, where to find you and all that.
We don't want to get too deep into it, bore you guys. So hit one of us up after the fact, and
definitely. So
we'll get into it.
So thank you for that. I really appreciate that. But if someone doesn't have, like you said, doesn't have savings, you definitely recommend looking into programs, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. If you find your dream home and that's an investment, you're crazy about it. Yeah, 100%. I did want to touch up one last thing, and just to oversimplify what he said. You wouldn't walk into a kitchen and try to be a chef. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like that simple. There's just legalities that you want your agent to go.
Hey, that's a good one. I like that.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Okay, I fuck with that.
I like that.
I like that. Yeah. So all right. So I already asked what kind of financial requirements are needed by a first time buyer.
Mm-hmm.
What are the most benefit? Oh no, we already went over that. Sorry. How does social media help you at all with your business?
100%.
What about you? Does it not really, or is it just word of mouth, or people just come to banks just because it's a bank?
I'm in a lucky position, and this is kind of the back and forth of it, where I could see where it would definitely help Gio in his position because he has to market himself. I'm lucky where people are already coming to me looking for loans. So,
and is it like you said, you kind of compared it to getting a car? So if you go to a certain bank, can you just shop around for loans other places? They can give you different loans everywhere? Or?
I recommend you do. I always tell people to shop around. Brokers are great. They get stuff done fast. Major banks, though, that's a good baseline. Like, shop at your Wells Fargo's and Chase, and then you'll probably do something better than that, but at least you got a baseline.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
So is there anything else that we probably need to touch upon for real estate?
Social media wise, I would just say, like, every time I open a new transaction, I always post it on social media, make sure people know what I'm doing, and it doesn't matter what kind of market you think we're in, people are still buying and selling, and somebody's always going to need a place to live.
Yeah, so that's that's a good thing you just said. What would you say is a good time to buy? Like, what
always
market wise, it's always a good time to buy.
If like I say, it comes back to what kind of agent and what kind of loan officer you know. It's always a good time to buy. Don't let whatever you're hearing in the media and whatever stop you, because there's always a deal, and you just have to know the right people to find it. Straight up.
He is a good agent, apparently.
See, that's a good answer, bro. I was kind of expecting that. But what I was gonna say is, like, what can, as for a form of equity, like, some people might not even know what equity means. Like, can you guys briefly describe what it is and maybe equity loans and go over that?
Yeah, equity is really just how. So let's say you buy a house for 200,000. In a few years, depending on what the market's doing, you will gain money. So your value will go up. Whatever amount that value goes up, that's your equity in it.
Okay.
In the house.
Basically, the percentage of the property that you already own.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what equity is. And yeah, you're more than, I always tell people, kind of like a lot of people go into marriages nowadays knowing that it's a business. Buy a home with the same idea, buy a home thinking it is your investment.
Okay.
In 20 years, if you own 100,000 in equity, you no longer have to look for a business loan. You pull that equity out and you start your business. So
exactly.
Yeah. So as for, so you just went over the equity loan. I mean, I have a couple examples. I know a couple friends that, bought houses and they're doing really well, but they wouldn't have done it without their equity loan. So like, I feel like sometimes it's like they get lucky when they buy a house and then the equity goes up, they take an equity loan, but
it's leverage. It's leveraging. That's how a lot of people make money, is they pull out some of that equity and they go buy another house with it.
Okay.
And they just keep doing the same thing.
What would you suggest? Like there's like a big, I want to say like they shame people for staying at home with their folks. Would you like kind of, what are your views on that? Like, should they save up for that house, or should they just move out as quick as they possibly can?
If I could go back in time, I would definitely do that.
Right.
If I could go back in time, and because I have 2 houses right now.
Okay.
One's the one I live in, and I rent out that house that I live in for half the mortgage, and then the other one I rent out.
Okay.
I'm actually getting ready to sell that second one. If I was a little bit more patient, I probably would have bought that first house and stayed home.
Okay.
Because it's honestly like it really just depends. You know what I mean? Like if you want, depending on what you want, like if you want to move out, you can't stand living at home. Great. I was chilling, but I could have kept chilling. I could have saved more money and I could have been good.
Right.
You know what
I mean? So that's one big like piece of advice you want to give out to the listeners. If you have a chance to save, you should do it.
If you don't mind living at home.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like most people.
What do you think?
No, I agree. From a lender standpoint, it goes back to lifestyle. If you can, 100% take advantage of that. And I think most people who went through it would let you know that. Be honest with what you're gonna buy. Don't go broke trying to buy that huge house so you can move everybody in.
Yeah, for the clout, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Don't go broke trying to look rich.
Yeah.
And don't be ashamed to move backwards.
Okay.
That's one of the biggest things. Because I've thought about it.
Like downsizing, right?
Yeah.
No, not necessarily downsizing, but don't be afraid to move backwards. Like, don't be afraid to own that house and say, you know what, mom and dad, like, or whoever you live with, aunt, uncle, grandma, grandpa, move back and just say, look, I'll pay you a small amount of rent if you want to take it. Move back and keep that house. Like, don't be afraid of that.
Okay.
It don't matter what none of these bitches say. It don't matter what anybody else think.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's your money, and then if you're making money while you're sleeping, that's a good
there
thing.
You go. That's
I mean,
what I say.
when you purchase a home, you agree that it's for 30 years. So worst case scenario, you're staying in that home for 30 years. You want to make sure you make a smart investment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't rush into that home. Don't buy high.
Yeah, that's one thing I really want to, and also like, I mean, I might have a car salesman, and we could go over it later. But when I was first, making money.
Hey.
I moved my family out, and the first thing I want to do is buy a fucking car, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, I wish I waited a little bit because my car was fully paid off, and then now I'm like, well, now it's getting better, right? But at one point I was like, damn, like I should have waited. I should have used that money that I was using to buy the car to put into a house. I would have been in a way better position. But you know what? That's what I want people to understand, is that if you're in a good position where you don't have to pay that much money in rent, or if you're good at home, don't be afraid to fucking, like people are lucky to be at home and have that relationship with their parents and stuff, and stack your chips up, man. At the end of the day, your life is going to be a lot better if you make the right financial moves, invest in the right things. Like you could buy a house, still stay at home, and still have the money coming in. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing I want the viewers to understand. Like y'all should, for sure look into maybe saving before you go and buy that car, go and buy that house.
Don't go broke trying to look rich.
Say it to the camera one more time.
Don't go broke trying to look rich. It's perspective. We live, like, the thing about this city too, and a lot of other places, it's all perspective though, like the way people see you.
I think Vegas is like that though. People always have a little facade of how.
There's nothing wrong with it though, because I have to do it too. You know what I mean? Like I have to show up in a decent car. Like, but that's the thing though. It doesn't have to be a brand new car. People get made fun of for driving like old foreign cars, whatever miles on it, right? But I bought my car. It's like an older foreign car. I paid cash for it, like $4,500, and people would never know the difference.
Right.
Because people don't really pay attention like that. You just pull up in a foreign car, even though it looks older, people are like, oh, okay, cool.
And listen, if you're buying a home, or you don't want your agent pulling up in like the bucket, you know,
in the hoopty, huh?
Yeah, come on.
You got to be a little credible.
It's levels to it though. Like,
really,
I feel that.
There's levels to it. You know what I mean? Just be smart with your money. It's a generational thing. You just gotta, learn from it.
What's the craziest like situation you got put in with your profession? Like, oh yeah, I know you got some. I know you got something, bro. So,
nah, bro, like it's current. It's current right now. Actually, this is a real sticky situation I'm in right now. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Probably the craziest thing, man. So you're probably not gonna see this, but we'll go through it anyway. So
you don't gotta say names, bro.
they're not gonna see this. They older, but currently, bro, it's a three transaction deal, right? I got these people that are getting a divorce. They want to sell the crib, right?
Right.
And I'm trying to help both of them buy one, and they got to sell one. And this lady does not stop hitting me up, bro.
Oh, she's trying to.
No, 100%. She told me.
Oh, okay.
But it's that relationship, man. It's like,
you can't,
like,
you can't dip in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and then there's it's another one too where we got her house, her crib listed right now, and we had like a little thing or whatever, but it's a sticky situation, man. I can't get into it.
Yeah,
but,
no, I mean,
no, but like, I don't know how what it's like on your side, bro.
Don't fumble the bag, son. Don't fumble the bag.
Yeah, you don't fuck up the bag is rule number one. It could wait. It could wait. But
I'm blessed, man. I'm in an office and I rarely see people, so I keep it
like
clean.
you're front of the house, you're back of the house right now.
It's a taboo
100%.
kind of thing though, because bro, like on fucking Pornhub and shit, like they got the dead ass, bro. Like one of the fucking
what the hell?
It's
Pornhub. You said Pornhub. You came out.
This is really what it was. It's an intro.
Oh shit, step bro.
But, yeah, bro. They got like the categories on there for the real estate thing, and I feel like
you gotta go kick the bitch out.
no, I feel like people really have like that kind of.
It's like a fetish or something.
I'm dead ass, bro. Like I've real life had clients like that. I've had one. There's one dude too. Like, don't get it twisted, bro. But like, it gets like that. So
you don't really run into shit like that.
I see a lot of people made a lot of mistakes, and I usually clean them up.
Oh, okay. So you already know.
I more so get the back end of the story where someone's girlfriend moved in right away.
What? Say that again.
After Gio does it, that's when he finds out.
no, I'm
After Gio does
I heard
it.
things about Gio.
I'm not a bad guy.
Nah, man. But shit, bro. Don't fumble the bag is what we're trying to say.
Thing, don't fumble the bag.
So, so this stuff happens like at open houses. Like, okay, I want to ask you this.
Yeah, go.
Should people go to open house even though they're not going to buy anything?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the reason why I asked that is because there's some people. I mean, I'm not saying you're like this, but there's people that don't want to waste their time like on people. So. Like, just if you don't, maybe if there's viewers out there and they see an open house, should they just like,
if your lender or your agent is acting like they don't have time for you or they don't want to waste
Get a
time,
new one.
get a new one, 100%. They make plenty of money, and so do we. For us to not be able, that's just bullshit.
Yeah.
And then also you want to get out of your comfort zone. You want to be able to like see different houses because you don't want to get like lost in the moment. Where like, oh, I want this house, and now you're in it, and a year later you're like, damn, that other house is way better. What
I would say too is I don't know if you're like misconstruing it, but because Richie does it sometimes too. Like, nothing against him, but like there's a difference between showing houses and open houses. Is that what you meant?
Yeah. So what's the difference? I don't know.
Okay, so I think what you meant is like showing houses. Like, should you just go look at houses with an agent if you're not ready to buy? I would say there's different cases. Because some agents like me, like I've done it a few times where I'll kind of just take you out and, kind of show you, but more as a motivational thing. But you have to understand from the agent's perspective, and not a lot of people do it, you have to put yourself in their shoes. Like, would you, go around and like, you got to think time is money at the same time.
Right.
So if somebody who hasn't spoken to a lender and doesn't even know if they can qualify to buy, like, am I going to go out and show them a property. Depending on the person, yes. And I don't mean it in like a racial way. I don't mean it nothing like that. Like I mean it from like a motivational standpoint. Like if I know, if you
nudge them a little bit in the right direction, eventually it's gonna fall back into.
So you don't try to do it in like a messed up way, but you do have to understand time is money, and like if you in your profession, would you waste time with somebody who's not gonna do, buy something
just
from
not
you?
Serious, right?
You know what I mean? So it's kind of like a consideration kind of thing. So I would say try to get pre-qualified first, or be in the process of doing it. But open houses is different because you can just walk in.
Just people come in, right? Yeah. So you suggest if you're looking for houses, open houses, look for them.
Yeah, because what if you walk into one, you're like, oh my God, this is the one. You can't even buy it because you're not pre-qualified.
I feel that. I mean? Okay.
Yeah, no, he's right. No, 100%, he's right. Go out, look for the house. I mean, test waters, dude.
Yeah, sure, there's nothing wrong with it.
All right, well, is there anything that you would like to share before we...
I mean, dude, one of the reasons I was excited to do the podcast was because this industry really does make, and I did that touched on it, where like becoming your own boss, you know what I mean? Right. And this definitely opens the avenue. I mean, even if you work for like a brokerage, it feels like you're working for yourself, dude. Mm-hmm. And I just want to give you the shout out for the podcast, man.
Oh man, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, man. It's this might be the 6th one, and then you brought us a little gift. Thank you so much for that. We're doing pretty well, man. Like me and Kenny, the co-host, we originally planned to do this around this time of year. So for this whole shit to be happening, it's currently March 26th. We're social distancing. We're not that close, guys. So stay smart. So it's kind of like a blessing in a way, because I was busy, bro. I was doing 2 things. I was at the Win. I was at the Aria. Always busy. I didn't even have time to work out. I mean, you can make time. I could lose sleep. You know what I'm saying?
I respect it.
But I value it, and I have a girlfriend as well, so I was always constantly busy. But we originally planned. We did something at this boxing gym called Duce and Friends.
Top 5 parties.
Pardon me. Thank you. So we threw a party at this boxing gym, and then once we saw we did pretty well, and we made a little profit. Broke even, whatever. We got a DJ, all that. We're like, damn, we could do this. And then we always keep up with podcasts. We listen to, obviously, the epitome of podcasts right now, Joe Rogan, Tax Stone, Beloved. That's where we got it from. We don't say the N-word no more. We say Beloved.
Respect.
So we originally, once we finished cleaning up for the party, we look at each other and we're like, dude, you know what? Like, we're good personalities. We're funny.
100%.
We should start a podcast. And then obviously we talked about doing stand-up. We did stand-up.
Yep.
And then I did stand-up, and it's crazy because my first stand-up, and I'm kind of getting out on a tangent, but my first stand-up, I was an opener. Yeah. And then they only gave me 7 minutes. And then the whole crowd there was for me. So I was like, you guys mind if I go a little longer? And they're like, yeah, just go ahead. It's your crowd. I'm like, bet. So I ended up going 30 minutes my first time as an opener. So, I didn't get paid. I did it for the love of it. I did it for practice because I've never done podcasting now, stand-up. So after that, I got another, hey, what you doing, TikTok? So after that, I got an opportunity from my manager, Sean. Shout out to Sean and UC. He gave me a position where I could make money off stand-up. And it's like a dream, right? Like if I could drop everything that I have, I mean, they kind of dropped it for me, right, with this whole coronavirus shit. But if I could drop everything and make money off of podcasting and stand up, I'd fucking do it. Because that's what I want to do. So my girlfriend's very supportive in that. I made money, like, to be completely transparent. I made money my second, and I'm talking about money. I'm talking about like more than a G. Okay. Because like, bro, like, and I thought I did good, I did good, and I'm only gonna get better. Yeah. And I got, hopefully, everything comes out good. But yeah, me and Kenny plan to do the podcast around this time. We got the equipment. As soon as we got the equipment, laid off. Yeah. Fuck it, bro. We don't got no more excuses.
It's a sign.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's just, this is it, man. I'm not saying that it's gonna make money, but eventually I hope it does. And I appreciate you, people like you, sharing your stories. Yep. People are gonna fuck you, Richie. People are gonna enjoy this. I hope they learn something from this, because that's the whole point of it. Yeah. And
I would say, yeah. I mean, like, even if you're thinking about getting into it, like into real estate or being a loan officer, because yeah, I mean, you could be your own boss.
And that's the idea.
But the crazy thing is, man, is a lot of people get it. It's like a misconception. Like, oh, you know what? I can wake up at 11 and I could work from home and I could do this and I got so much time. Like, it's not even like that, man. Like, if you want to be successful, bro, like,
you got to put the time in.
It's like a job,
just like anything.
You wake up, you're in the office, like it's the same thing, man. Like, and they find out real quick when they're not making any money.
It's sink or swim, man.
Yeah, when you're not making any money, you find out real fast, like, that it's not a joke. So that's what I would say. Like, that's one of the biggest things. You don't got to come from like a certain place to be able to do it. Like, you don't have to be from a real estate background. You don't got to live in a certain, you don't got to make a certain amount of money. Like, come from a certain background. Like, you could do it.
Be charismatic.
Yeah, man, that's what it is. At the end of the day, we're all social beings, and if you could connect with people, they'll trust you more. The more trust you get from people, the more business you get, and obviously you get the referrals, and then the word of mouth eventually, gets you the bag. And like we said, don't fumble it.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for coming in for the podcast, gentlemen. Can you guys give it a little outro? Where can they find you? You're at Twitter if you want to, whatever.
I'm going to put just the straight numbers, 457-1000, 702-457. That's the one Nevada, and just ask for Alejandro. But, outro. Yeah, man, many blessings and prosper.
Remember, that's the first step. If you want to get to that, to get that loan, see if you're getting pre-qualified. Say that number again.
702-457-1000.
And that's ask for Alejandro Guzman. So right here we have Gio, and how can they find you?
So you can direct line 702-743-3629, and then social medias, because I'm real active on those. I don't remember mine, but I gotta look. Big Glow Hendrix on Twitter, and then Instagram is big_Glow Hendrix.
All right, so with that being said, thank you so much for tuning into the Dearly Beloved podcast. I am your co-host, Cole Raul. We have Gio Villanueva and Alex Guzman, the real estate agent, and then the loan officer. So give it a quick hand for them, please. We out. Don't fumble the bag. Don't fumble the bag.
Don't fumble it.